was it that such a fragile jewel as the Italian chapel came to be built on an uninhabited island in Orkney off the north coast of Scotland? The story is a fascinating one. The British fleet was based in Scapa Flow in the early days of World War II, and although the entrance to the bay was blocked by sunken ships, a German U-boat taking advantage of an exceptionally high tide slipped through and torpedoed HMS Royal Oak, which sank with the loss of 833 lives. It lies there to this day and is now an official war grave. As well as being a terrible tragedy, the sinking of the Royal Oak demonstrated that Scapa Flow was far from impregnable. The First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, visited Orkney and devised a plan whereby the eastern approaches to Scapa Flow would be blocked permanently by concrete barriers. This phenomenal engineering project took 4 years to complete, and the result was 4 great causeways, now known as the Churchill Barriers. They link Orkney's mainland and the South Isles of Lambholm, Glimpsholm, Bury and South Ronaldsay. They are regarded as one of the greatest engineering feats of the Second World War. The work was done by construction company Balfour Beatty. At first the workforce was British, but it became clear very quickly that this mammoth task needed more labour. And so it was that more than 1,000 Italian prisoners of war captured in North Africa were brought to the tiny islands of Orkney early in 1942 and installed in purpose-built prisoner of war camps and put to work casting huge concrete blocks and craning them into the water. In the centre of the camp, one of the prisoners, Domenico Cocchetti, produced a statue of St. George and the Dragon made from barbed wire and concrete, which still remains there today. A concrete representation of the desire to eliminate all evil and all wars. However, in September 1943, Italy capitulated to the Allies. The Italian prisoners of war requested a proper place of worship, and with the help of the padre, Father Giacobazzi, the camp commandant, Major Buckland, allowed them to build a chapel on Lambholm out of 2 Nissen huts. The work of turning the Nissen huts into a chapel fell to the prisoners themselves, using materials scavenged from the site. Cocchetti set to work painting the interior of the sanctuary. The end result is a work of art that is magnificent even to jaded 21st century eyes, and must have been utterly stunning to those imprisoned here in 1944. The altar and its fittings were made from concrete, as concrete was always in plentiful supply. The original gold curtains either side of the altar were purchased using the prisoners' own money. The wrought iron rood screen was made by Giuseppe Palumbi, who had worked as an ironworker in Philadelphia before the war. Whilst in Orkney, he fell in love with a local girl. He left a token of his love within the rood screen. The whole interior was lined with plasterboard, and another artist, Giovanni Panisi, was brought over from the camp on Bury to help Cocchetti paint the flat plasterboard of the nave to look like brickwork and carved stone. Stonemason Domenico Buttapasta led a team of POWs in building a facade out of concrete to complete the front of the chapel. The new facade had the effect of concealing the shape of the Nissen huts behind it, and came complete with a belfry and decorated windows. Panisi moulded a head of Christ above the door and stained it red. The chapel was only used for a short time, and it was still not completely finished when they left the island late in 1944, but Cocchetti stayed behind to finish the font. The Lord Lieutenant of Orkney, Patrick Sutherland Graham, who owned Lamb Home, promised the Italian prisoners of war that the Arcadians would look after the chapel the Italians had created, and so it still stands today thanks to the work of the Preservation Committee, whilst all the other buildings on the site of Camp 60 have been demolished.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, how did you get here?
Oh, it's a long story. Oh, it has to do with my wife. I was so suspicious of my wife. Oh, I came home early from the fishing and I went up to the bedroom and I was sure I was going to find another man in there. But I only found her and she was getting dressed. And I accused her and she denied it. But oh, she looked guilty, so guilty. I was sure there was another man there. I could smell his pipe tobacco, and it wasn't my pipe tobacco. It was that light continental stuff that you get in a pansy wee pouch. No a man's smoke at all. So I rushed down to the living room, and he wasn't there. And I went into the kitchen, and he wasn't there. And I went up the stairs to the bedroom, and he still wasn't there. And I looked in the wardrobe, and it was empty. And I looked out the windows, and there was no sign of anybody on the window ledges. Oh, I was so frustrated. I was sure he was there. And the anger and the frustration, it just built up. And oh, it was a massive heart attack. I was gone in seconds. And what about you?
I froze to death. You know when you said you looked in the kitchen?
Aye.
It's a pity you never looked in the freezer. Maybe we'd both still be alive.
Oh.
Chest of biscuits. Yes. Why do we need all these digestive biscuits? Doris! Doris!
What is it, George?
What do we need all these biscuits for?
They're for the prophecy.
What has a prophecy to do with digestive biscuits?
Panic buying.
You don't believe that rubbish.
Yes, I do. It's in all the papers.
But it's nonsense.
Wee Sadie believes it. And remember, her granny had the second sight.
Doris, we say he still believes in the tooth fairy.
Ah, but you know what they say about folk like that. They'll get it right one day.
What's the point of panic buying if the world's going to end?
Everybody's doing it.
Oh, and I suppose we'll have to do it too then.
Oh, remember Ruth's coming over later.
Oh, wonderful.
George, she's family. She's our niece.
She's your niece by marriage. She's mine by aggravation.
Oh, and she's got a new job.
Another one. And what is it this time?
Oh, it's something to do with the government, I think. Where you go and let me get on with my work.
So, what exactly is this new job, Ruth?
It's a really exciting opportunity.
I expect it is. But what are you?
Head of Transparency.
Oh my, George, you hear that, head of transparency?
Transparency? I heard. But what do you actually do?
It's about transparency, you know. Making sure we can see through all the windows and none of the curtains are drawn.
So you're a window cleaner.
George!
Oh, you're so funny, George. It's about making sure that everyone is fully informed about what we are doing going forward.
You'd hardly be going backwards.
It's all actually really hush-hush.
Makes the transparency bit a little difficult.
Oh, not at all. There are layers of it, you see.
Layers?
Of transparency. Lots of layers, and all with different levels of opacity. We don't want to scare people excessively and cause a panic.
Panic?
About the prophecy?
Oh, that's what you're working on. See, George, the government's taking it seriously.
We have to take cognizance whether or not we believe it.
What?
If we don't develop forward planning and create sustainable contingency protocols, we could be sued.
Sued?
For billions. It will make the payment protection scandal look like a walk in the proverbial. You see, people are preparing for the prophecy and it's costing them considerable financial resources. So if, when actually nothing happens, it's going to be payback time big style. Like mega billions and all that.
But no one can sue the government, Ruth.
That's what you'd imagine. In fact, and this is the thing, almost all of the government's core and non-core functions have been privatised or devolved to the third sector. So, in essence, what it boils down to at the end of the day is that maybe you can. So that is. So, we're opening a constructive dialogue with the key stakeholders to make sure that everyone understands their position vis-à-vis the prophecy and head off all that bad stuff of the past, so to speak.
Going forward.
Or not, as the case may be.
So, how are you going to do that?
We're going to disseminate a series of guidance protocols that will delineate the government's total position vis-à-vis the prophecy, with carefully calculated expectational advice for everyone to follow in case the prophecy indeed is factually accurate.
Ah, so you're going to put out a leaflet?
Now that would be the affirmative interpretation of what we're trying to achieve. The big problem is that this being uncharted territory, the expert analysts are at odds with each other, and the best advice we can give is for everyone to wrap themselves in tinfoil at the key moment.
I can't be serious. Are you?
Deadly. But don't ask me to explain all that technical stuff. The thing of it is there isn't enough of it to go round. Tinfoil, that is. And why do you think there's been so much media coverage about obesity? It's got nothing to do with health and stuff. It's simply that if everyone slims down at the moment that the rubber hits the road, there might just be enough to go round. Literally.
This is madness.
Of course, we don't have much time at our disposal. According to our most recent interpretation, it all kicks off on the 12th at 12 o'clock.
Midnight or midday?
What?
Well, it's a simple enough question, Ruth. Will it be midnight or midday? It would be useful for us to know so we could prepare ourselves for our last minute.
I'm sure it's all been carefully calculated, but I'm not fully au fait with the anticipated outcome, so I'll have to consult with my colleague. Simon, hi. Oh yes, good, thanks. Tell me, Simon, did we sort out the actual 0 hour, i.e., is it midday or midnight? Midnight. Thanks. Ciao.
Okay, so it's midnight. But there are 24 midnights, so which one is it?
See where you're coming from, George. GMT, international dateline, time zone and all that stuff. Un momento. Simon? Yes, cooking with gas. Listen, vis-a-vis the midnight thing within the whole prophecy scenario. Yes, the question is, and it's pretty crucial, yeah? Midnight where? After all, Simon, there are 24 time zones and 24 midnights around the world. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Cool. Ciao.
Well,
Well, what it is we're pretty sure that it just happens to be midnight here. But we haven't gone public on that yet.
Do you think we should do a bucket list, George?
Good evening. A statement from world leaders claiming that this is the worst prophecy since records began caused a further collapse of stock markets today, and the government was forced to offer counselling for hysterical investors. Slimathons are drawing massive crowds across the country, but the news that manufacturers of tinfoil are struggling to meet demand caused uproar in the Commons, with the leader of the opposition accusing the government of complacency. Responding from his underground bunker, the Prime Minister reiterated that we are all in this together and said that the Keep Calm Wartime slogan was a jolly good idea. And now for the weather.
Oh well, George, not long now. What do you think we should do in the final minute?
how about one last digestive biscuit, Doris?
That is just the very thing. One last digestive biscuit.
So, there you are, Doris. Another needless panic.
Digestive biscuit, Ruth?
The dustbin?
Oh, no.
That stupid woman.
He'd forget his head if it wasn't screwed on. I've got a busy day today.
Yes, dear. Here you are, dear. Sorry, dear.
Right now.
It's going to be a nice day, dear.
Oh, yes. It'll be a good day for doing those sheets you took off the bed yesterday. But you know what happened last time. Don't forget to wipe the clothesline.
Yes, dear.
Oh, is that the time? Oh, I knew you should have wakened me early and brought my breakfast. Oh, dear, dear. Now, where's the car keys? Ah, oh, do you know, I do so enjoy doing Meals on Wheels.
Wish I had wheels.
What was that?
Oh, nothing, dear.
Ah, well, don't forget the list.
Do the sheets. Wipe the line, of course. Finish the ironing. Clean the windows. Cook the chicken. Bring in the bin. We'll be home for lunch at 2 p.m. Huh?
What are you doing sitting there? Is my lunch not ready?
It's nearly ready, love.
What a morning I've had. Mrs. Thompson got her feet done. Mr. Robertson's landed back in hospital. And poor Mrs. Carruthers. Oh, she doesn't know if she's coming or going. And as for that Mr. Patterson, well, I've told him if he doesn't keep his hands to himself, I'm sending you round to sort him out. And don't you forget, I'm going into town today to get an outfit for Gillian's wedding. And while I'm there, I'll meet Betty and we'll have our tea in town, right? And it's my bridge night tonight, so I'll need a rest before I go. I hope you've finished all those jobs. Now, you've done the sheets, haven't you? Well, there's grass to be cut, There's hoeing to be done, and you promised to put up a new shelf in the shed. Right, I'm off now. Oh, by the way, I left your birthday present in the shed.
Oh, something brilliant, something I never wanted. I think I can guess what this is. Oh, bloody hellfire!
Look at that mess! Haven't I told you before to leave your shoes outside? What do you think, dear?
Oh, lovely, dear.
Well, I better go and get ready for bridge. Now, if those sheets are dry, you could give them an iron. Right, I'm off then. It's the last game of the season, and we've got to win that to get promotion. Now, don't you wait up, because I could be late.
Oh, that bloody woman.
We've won! We've been promoted! And by the way, those sheets you did earlier, they'll have to be done again. I told you to wipe the line. Oh, Cullen, what are you doing? No!
Good night, dear. Job done.
Oh, Freddie never could forget the fact he had a perfect set. He smiled and said, "Me breakfast ready," and down he sat all right and ready. He ate his Crispies, crackled pop, when something made him quickly stop. A stab of pain did make him shudder. He shouted out aloud, "Oh, brother!" Up he got his crispies left, of all appetite bereft. Down the street he slowly went, wondering why fate had sent this toothache after all these years to reawake his hidden fears. His normal hearty disposition made his present grave position quite the hardest thing to bear that he had met for many a year. His eyes were to the pavement glued, on he walked in gloomy mood. He pondered deep upon the doings which left his little world in ruins. A far from happy fellow, Freddy, if only he'd been at the ready, perhaps the pain he'd wished to hide wouldn't so have hurt his pride. A sidelong glance across the street caused his heart to miss a beat. The window sign that met his stare gave him yet another care. For nature at an early sowing had to our Freddy all unknown given his life's abomination a pretty ripe imagination. Now to his mind a vision sprang, his brain with sharpened steel it rang. The dentist now in butcher's guise sought to hasten his demise. Just then a stab of toothache brought a quick decision without thought. With jaw well set he bravely strode to the dentist's grim abode. Hand on doorbell, door swung wide, then he found himself inside. Sitting down a paper lifted, through its contents quietly sifted, his courage from his brain excluded, all thoughts of that dread chair secluded. Round the room he slyly glanced, half a dozen folk entranced. A motley crew was his sudden thought, I've never seen another lot. He looks queer, that fellow yonder. Got false teeth, I wouldn't wonder. Not like mine, me pride and joy. Nothing false, the real McCoy. Just then the dentist's door swung wide and let him see what lay inside. Before his exit he could make, a hand fell on him like a brake. He turned to see the dentist smile. Can I detain you for a while? Before our Fred could answer no, he found himself well under tow. A rather curious fight developed, in which the two were soon enveloped. For belts exchanged in this affray, the Lonsdale fellow didn't pay. These two engaged in duel so merry, had never heard of Queensberry. Though Freddy struggled hard and long, the dentist proved to be too strong. Our hero, lifted in the air, was quickly carried to the lair. But with a jump he took his leave, the dentist holding fast his sleeve. A sudden halt, the sleeve it ripped. Unfortunately Freddy tripped. Nothing lay to bar his fall, down the stairs into the hall. In a hospital bed he woke, thinking he had had a stroke. A doctor near him shook his head. We'd nearly given you up for dead. In Freddy's mind the mist had cleared. What was it that he had so feared? The doctor said, now open wide, and back the thoughts came in a tide. A sudden cough, and out it shot, the cause of all this little lot. The moral of this little tale is brush your teeth and never fail. Don't delay a dental visit. It really isn't worth it, is it?
It won't take a minute, lad. All right, now hold it there. Tight now.
Mrs. Johnson.
Uh-huh.
I'm DC McCaw of the police. I'm the family liaisons officer. Is this the home of Scott Johnson?
Yeah, it's home, yeah,
Just wondering, do you recognise this one at all?
Yeah, that's Scott's. What's this about?
Very sorry, Mrs. Johnson, but there's been an accident. There was a young boy hit by a car coming out of school. This wallet was found on him.
Oh, no, Scott. No, it can't be Scott.
Do you mind if I come in for a minute? It's never an easy time, Mrs. Johnson, to say what I'm going to say. But we're going to need you to come and formally identify the body.
Do I have to?
I'm afraid so. Is there maybe a relative or a friend or, you know, someone that you're close to that's nearby that you can maybe phone, get them to come over, come with you?
I can phone a neighbour. Francis, could you please come over? Could you please? Yeah, could you? Oh, thank you. Francis has come over.
Like you say, Mrs. Johnson, it's never easy, you know, these things, but unfortunately they have to be done. I'm D.S. McCaw. There's been a terrible accident with Johnson's son.
Oh no. What's happened? Oh, Francis. Scott, he's been in an accident. Oh no. Oh.
Is that your son, Mrs. Johnson?
I don't know at all. I can't see anything. I can't. Oh no, I don't know.
Let's get you out of here. Come on.
I just don't know.
Would you like anything? I can make you a cup of tea.
Yeah, a cup of tea.
Was it okay? Like,
Thank you.
That's okay. Is there anybody else that can come over? I know that Francis had to be called away. Is there
No.
another?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. I'm going to have to go, Mrs. Johnson, but you do have my card, all my phone number and mobile numbers on there. Please don't hesitate to give us a call, and we will be back in touch as well. There is some other formalities that we'll have to take care of. I'll just see myself out.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, pick up your socks. Oh. 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 Oh.
Mom!
Oh, I can still hear you calling. Oh no.
Mom! Mom!
Oh, you're alive! You're alive! You're alive! Oh. 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 Oh.
I can't breathe. I'm sorry I was late. This bully from school, he took my wallet again. I had no money for the bus home. I would have called, but my phone was out of battery. I'm so sorry.
You're alive! You're alive! You're alive!
Well, I'm not dead.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, let's get this video blog happening. Okay, microphone, that's working, and record. Yeah, looks like it's recording, yeah. Okay, video blog. Today's date is the 14th of February 2018. That's a really exciting day. I've actually created a time travel app. You can see it's in beta form, but today's the first day I'm going to give it a crack, and we're going to travel back in time, and I'm going to go back to something like, I'll type in 400 BC. No, bugger it, we'll make it 4,000 BC, and make or break. Okay, 4000 BC, and fingers crossed, Gary's app. Time travel, here we come. Unbelievable! Absolutely unbelievable! My app works! My app works! You are